Hey guys, so I didn't get a video up on, I haven't had a video up on Sunday. I didn't get one up on Monday because life has been absolutely crazy. We have been so busy. Um, Lots of stuff is going on. People tell you when you have kids that once they start getting out of high school and they're adults, that life slows down. It seems to be the opposite for us. But like I said, my goal first and foremost is to be the best wife I can be and the best mom I can be. So since that comes first, sometimes it means that we don't get videos up. In the process, we are a few days behind on some Girl World tea, but we're going to catch up as fast as we can. And I'm going to get as much done this morning as I can because we have my daughter's very last marching band competition today that we need to be at. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about Amber, um, but mainly, well, Amber through Aunt Tammie. On October 9th, Aunt Tammie did a interview with Jordy again. And there were a couple of things that I wanted to discuss going through this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get over here to Aunt Tammie and listen to what she has to say.
I'm going through a lot tonight, and I was very happy to see that you're live. Somehow this stuff helps me. It doesn't make sense all the time, but it just does.
Okay, I think it helps honestly because one of the comments that I see the most often left on videos or in live stream chats is people saying, somebody that I know asked me why I watch Girl World, or can you explain to me about Girl World? And they're all like, where do you even start? How do you explain this to somebody? Can you tell me how to explain this to someone? I couldn't even imagine being related to one of the girls and trying to explain to someone the family drama that is going on top of trying to explain to them who these people are. And so this space, specifically for Aunt Tammie, Jordy's live streams, it is a place that she can come on and there's no explanation needed. She can just say, this is what is happening. And everybody's like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand. Let's talk about this. Let's move forward in this. One of the biggest things and why I didn't talk to a whole lot of people about um, my situation that I went through with my ex when I was getting out of that abusive relationship was because a lot of people didn't realize what was going on. And so it was really hard to sit there and be like, okay, so on such and such a date, this happened, and then this happened, and you don't want to have to rehash it all the time. This is a safe place for her to come and not have to rehash it. So it makes perfect sense to me why this would be something that would give her some kind of comfort, because it's a place where she is understood. The situation is completely understood.
So, um, I've tried to make posts. I've tried to make little, shorts to try to get some of this out, but it's so overwhelming and so much that I just can't put it in words. So, um, what Amber's doing in those last videos with the family situation that everyone wants to know about.
Crying. It's family related, and they asked me not to speak about it. So, um, just some hard stuff with family.
Okay, this is one of the things that all three of the ones that I watch, anyways, Foodie, Rosie, and Amber, all do. They purposefully come on and do things that make people ask them questions. You know, making it look like they're crying, making sure people realize that they're upset, they're depressed, they're angry, whatever. Kind of like Rosie, when she would go and stay the night at Jeff's. And she wouldn't say anything to anybody. She'd disappear for a day or two. And then all of a sudden she'd be like, oh, let me grab this bag. Did you see my glasses that I have? Because they want people to ask them. They don't want to, they they want to be like, well, I couldn't help it. Like, they asked. I had to tell. It's part of that manipulation game that they all play.
It's her trying to act like she has information about, at the end of the day, my mother, barely her grandmother. They have like hardly any relationship at all in the 2 years. She wants to act like they do, but what we have to remember in the whole
Well, and if we remember when it comes to Grandma Lynn, um, the whole reason that Amber ended up having to live with Casey is because Grandma Lynn kicked Amber out because of Amber's behavior. They couldn't take it anymore. So we have all of these years that there's no relationship there. She really didn't even have a whole lot to do with her mom until she was diagnosed with cancer during the Beck era. So there wasn't a whole lot of family contact at that point. And then she moved back to Oklahoma, and Aunt Tammie's now saying there wasn't a whole lot of contact there either, which is honestly believable. Um, because we've seen the texts that were sent between her and Aunt Tammy, and it was really only when Amber needed or wanted things that she seemed to have a whole lot of contact with people.
2 years that Amber has been here, I was next to my mom all the time, every day, 3 to 5 calls a day, see her in person, help her a lot, check on her, follow up with her cancer treatment, help her understand what she was going through because she couldn't even understand it all. I would look up codes and diagnosis and all this to make her understand it. My sister and Amber were nowhere to be found. My mom barely heard from my sister, seen her once a week, if that. Amber did not return texts, calls, anything. Never would want to go to my mom's house even after my mom would question it. But now that we're at a further off stage in my mom's cancer, and it's getting time where it's going to get real messy, now all of a sudden we want to show up. So when I just seen that she was at my mom's again, it really just literally pisses me off, because they are literally sitting there waiting for my mom to pass away.
Okay, so remember, this interview was done. Oh, I put the wrong thing on here. This should be 10/11. Huh. Yeah, that should be 10/11. Um, so Aunt Tammy did the interview on the 9th of October. This was uploaded on the 11th of October. Ignore my brain issue here. Um, And Amber likes to say she doesn't watch reaction channels. She doesn't pay attention to what goes on. Clearly, she does, because we went out of our way on the 11th, just a couple of days later, to make sure that everybody sees that we are actually, in fact, at Grandma's house and actually spending time with her. It would be perceived in this. Like, if I were Tammy, I would see this as a slap in the face. Amber wants to talk about how she's the one who's mistreated. She's the one that's misunderstood. She's all of this stuff. And this is what we have happening. Like, you can't claim that you're changing and that it's never your fault. It's not your fault. And then do stuff like this.
And I'm supposed to just keep taking it and keep doing the right thing. But I'm telling you, it's getting harder and harder to not be petty and ugly and be, I always say, like, my family is just a certain breed. I can't explain it, but it's vile. And how I escaped most of it is beyond me. But sometimes, they get you going where you want to act like them. But I refuse. So, I sit here and I fight it off and I fight it off and I get my release through you guys a little bit, understanding, support. It all helps, Nobody really understands why I do what I do. There's so much more I could say and do. And that is holding back, But when Amber gets on and she thinks she's going to, act as if she knows things that I don't know about my family, the family that I've been with every day, it just really infuriates me. So she wants to hem haul around, and y'all want really the facts. and I'm the fact teller. So these are the facts. My mom's stage cancer went from stage 1 to 5 in a blink of an eye, and that.
Okay, and Tammy did correct herself. If you go over to her page, she did correct it and say, she misspoke when she said stage 5. She meant to say stage 4, but she was upset in the process of this, and, people misspeak when that happens. I think one of the reasons that Amber tries so hard to act like she has all of this knowledge that Tammy doesn't is because it lets Amber feel like she has all the power. It lets her feel like she's in control of something that Tammy is not. Um, and I think part of it is that Amber very much behaves, um, for lack of a better term, she behaves like a high schooler who's trying to, manipulate their way into getting what they want. It's kind of like kids, and most kids do this when their parents get divorced. They play both sides against the middle. They'll go to mom's house and say one thing, and mom's like, oh, your dad is not going to do that. We will not have this. And they give the kid what they want because, your dad's not going to tell me what to do at my house. Well, then they go to dad's house and they're like, well, mom said, well, we're not going to, your mom doesn't. And the kid, in the process, the parents are always angry with each other and fighting, and there's issues. And the kid doesn't have a problem with it because the kid is getting what they want in the long, or what they think they want in the long run. And that's what Amber's doing here.
Happened real recent. Since I told the truth, I got locked out of medical records where I was my mom's medical proxy. I signed in to medical stuff for my mom, in front of my mom, either be it at my house or in person with her through the online portals. And I could get into her test results, her doctor's appointments. I would tell her when her doctor's appointments were coming, what they were for, what they were going to do, what kind of machine, what kind of treatment, all that. The whole time, my sister and Amber did nothing. But because I told the truth over the house, now I'm locked out of the medical literally 2 days after I find out that my mom's cancer progressed to stage 5.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult timing.
It is. And to be able to not talk to nobody and to know the type of person my mom is. This is not once, twice. This will be the third time. When my sister was in prison, my mom wanted me not to.
Yeah, I think this is very important to pay attention to, because Tammy's getting ready to talk about her mom and her mom's behavior. And one of the things, a lot of what Amber does, because I honestly, and this is just my opinion, this is not a diagnosis, this is just my opinion based on the things that I have experienced in my life personally. Everything that I see from Amber is narcissistic abuse. Generally, narcissists are created, and it becomes a learned behavior. There's a saying, narcissist raised narcissist. It, so we're going to get some family background here that might help us explain why Amber is the way that Amber is.
Tell my sister when and if my mom dies, because she acts like she's going to die every day since 1998. Literally every single day. So she wanted my sister to ask about my mom one day and me to tell her, oh, mom died 2 months ago. Like, who does that? But my mom did. And then you fast forward many, 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 many years later into the current, and we already shared that story, how she wanted her to find out the truth about the house after she was dead. Another 6-6 action. But what even is sicker than that?
See, but if you look at it, that's more manipulation, and it's Grandma Lynn doing that so that she gets what she wants. She can hold this house and this inheritance over Mama Lynn and Amber and say, look what you're going to get. This could all be yours. Look at this. So that they show up, they do for her. Amber pays for things for her, which I doubt that honestly happens. But, that's the idea, is that I'm holding this over your head, and you're going to fall in line and do what I want you to do because of this. Well, that's manipulation at the end of the day. And then all of a sudden, once she's passed, yeah, you weren't going to get any of that. You did all of it for nothing, which is honestly really sad when you think about it. Um, who shows up for their family just because of what they are going to get? I don't know about you guys. My Meemaw lives 10 minutes from me. Anytime she calls, whether it's to clean out her fridge, organize her garage, paint patio furniture, um, anything that she needs, me and my husband drop everything and we get there to do that for her because you don't know how many more visits you're going to get. You don't know how often you're going to get to sit outside and paint patio furniture and talk to her and listen to her laugh and tell you old stories and really share a lot of memories that you would never know if she wasn't there. um, it's not about if there's going to be anything or not, um, because it's just about the relationship that's there. So, we can say poor Mama Lynn, she was being manipulated and all of this. But at the same time, Mama Lynn is manipulating also because the only reason that we're showing up is because we're going to get this house at the end of this. This house is mine, and I've got to keep her happy so my name stays on that house. They're all manipulating each other at the end of the day, and we can sit and say, one's worse than the other, but at the end, this is what it
is the fact that my sister knows the truth now, and she's still right there, ready to collect. It doesn't matter that you wanted that to happen as long as I collect. So it just really shows some true colors. So that's the big, family thing that, they asked her not to say anything, but, she just can't keep her big fucking fat mouth shut. She has to say enough to get people started. She knew it would press my buttons. She knows what she does, and that's why she does what
Well, honestly, the situation is a 2-for-1 bonus when it comes to Amber. Because, first of all, she can say, well, there's personal family stuff, but I was really asked not to talk about it online because, not everybody needs that information. That's right, I'm looking at you, Tammy. So it lets her get a couple of digs in at Aunt Tammie, but on top of it, I think Amber was really hoping that if people were like, oh my gosh, she's struggling, oh my gosh, there's serious stuff going on with her family, that it would take some of the heat away from the situation going on with Emily and all the information that has been coming out.
she does. If you really respect your family and the well wishes, especially of someone who is sick and suffering, you wouldn't open your mouth at all. If someone says, why are you crying? You would, she can lie like a pro, right? So she could have lied and said anything else, but she just had to say that because she knows I'm watching. She knows it. So, joke's on her. They don't know this until this moment. Whenever they hear this, I already know. Okay? And then the whole thing about the house, I already know. It's been changed again.
Oh.
Yeah, now. So maybe they're going to learn something through this. Now, as it stands, when my mom is the trustee until she's mentally unstable enough to be, which I would call that today. But regardless, then when she passes away, her live-in companion, caretaker, whatever you want to call him, who has served some time taking care of my mom, that's what we call it, serving time, because he could never say, do, act correctly in my mom's eyes. She puts him down every minute of every day, screams at him, belittles him. It truly runs in the family. And so I've always said Charlie deserves it all. He lived with this woman for all these years. We got escapes. We could hang up the phone. We could go away. He had to stay there. So by all means, and if they were married, he would have got it anyway. So regardless, it goes to him first, and then in the matter of his his death, then it goes to my sister, and then in capital letters it says, in no way, shape, or form should her daughter, me, be trustee, you know, co-trustee in any way, shape, or form. So I found that out recently. So if that's what she thinks is holding over my head, again, I find out everything. They should know this by now, but they're all ignorant, so they don't until they're proven over and over and over again. My grandpa was a detective. I got it from him. It's just in my blood. I find out everything. They know this. So the games that Amber tries to play, is kind of humorous to me. It's kind of entertaining, but then the human part of me, the emotional part of me, I have to suppress the urge to react.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna keep taking every opportunity they can to take digs.
Yeah. And that's okay, because I mean, I say what I say. I pop up here and there. I'm in your chat as often as I can. You just have the perfect time chat in my eyes. It's just like every time I sit down within minutes, here you are. It's just weird that way.
The crazy thing is, to me, that I see, you know, Aunt Tammy wanted a family. She wanted people to talk to. She wanted people to spend time with. And I get that it's all online. I get that it's all digital and very parasocial. But I find it absolutely hilarious that the very people that Amber cannot stand, um, and that Amber says are so vile and such horrible beings, are the very ones rallying around her aunt and giving her support. Um, you know, it turns out that Girl World really is only a vile place when you happen to be a vile person.
I say my God works in mysterious ways, and obviously I need this outlet right now because the timing is just impeccable almost every day. So, but I'm kind of laying low right now until after the court. Everyone wants to know if that's still going on. It is 1,000% still going on, and I will go all the way with it. So, and then after that, we'll be leveling up on other levels. There's so much more to say and share and bring to the light, and I'll have nothing to lose. So no holds barred. So you guys will be highly entertained here soon.
Oh,
Highly entertained. You're welcome in advance.
oh my.
See, that's the thing is that we sit and we watch these girls for so long and we're like, why is nothing happening? How do they get away with this for so long? How do things get swept under the rug for so long? And I think sometimes it just has to build up and build up and build up until nothing else can happen except everything coming out. We had Destiny and Beck. We now have Emily. We have Aunt Tammy. It's all just compounding. Same thing happened with Foodie. We sat and watched all of this stuff, and it's like, how in the world is she getting away with all of this? Well, she had to flee Kuwait, is an international fugitive now. Um, Ended up in Canada by herself and was miserable. Fled to Syria to be with her fake husband, who she is now leaving for Canada. And she's been miserable the entire time in Syria. And, it's all due to their own actions finally catching up with them.
My goodness.
um, is but of course I talk out of anger and I talk out of hurt. Anyone that has been down this journey that I've been on would feel the same way. I mean, absolutely. I gave literally decades to each and every one of these people involved, and at the end I was just like, here I am. I am bewildered. I am just like flabbergasted. I have a lot of questions, questions that will never be answered. But I'm finally getting at that point in my life, like I explained before. I mean, I'm not like one leg in the grave by any means, but I'm not a spring chicken. I'm mid-50s. Life is short. Life is precious, and I've given them way too much of it. And then because of that,
That is honestly the best way to look at it. And people, I don't know, I don't know that people always fully understand it. Um, but one of the things that I decided um, when, you know, I had my first stroke, And they were like, hey, it's because of a traumatic brain injury, that's it, but your risk for further strokes increase. Um, and I had another stroke. I had two more TIAs within about a year time frame of my first stroke. And it really became clear that, hey, we don't know how much time you have, but eventually a stroke is going to pop up and it's going to be what takes you out. Um, and it was before we got, this newer diagnosis that, is a lot worse than, hey, just a stroke is going to happen. But the second that that happened, and they said, we can't give you a time frame. We can't tell you when or how. We can treat symptoms as best we can, but there's really nothing we can do for you. I decided in that moment that I was tired and I was done giving my time and energy to people who weren't around for the right reasons. If you only show up and call me because you want or need something, I don't have time for you. Now, if you want to be actively involved in my life, you want to call me, you want to check on me, you want to hang out with me just because you want to see me and spend time with me, then I am there. I will drop everything for you in a heartbeat. I will show up. I will do everything I can for you. But I am no longer going to give my time and energy to people who are not giving me their time and energy also. My life is too short and too precious to waste those moments and to waste those hurt feelings on them when I could be over here living a happy, peaceful, joyful life. And that's just what it is. And a lot of people don't understand that. But it is really part of, I hate to quote the girls, but protecting my peace, protecting my space, my home, and my mental health, along with everything else that I have going on.
I have a lot of healing to do, and healing takes time. And that's what I'm trying to do in this season. But it's just like it just keeps getting worse. And it keeps getting worse. And it's hard not to watch because just like when my uncle passed away, no one called me, no one told me. It'll be the same way.
It keeps getting worse because the more that um, the more that a narcissist loses their control over you, the less their manipulations are working, the less that the um, ill treatment is having an impact on you, they continue ramping it up. They continue pushing harder and trying harder because they really think that, if I just do this one thing, if I just do this one thing, one more thing, this is going to be what changes their mind. This is what's going to work. It doesn't. It finally hits the point to where they either have to walk away and admit defeat, which most don't, um, or they run out of things to do, or they are stopped in some manner, like with my ex. My ex continued for 4 years. I mean, honestly, what more could you have to say to me after the first year or two of having no contact? What desire would you have? It was that I broke away from that power and that manipulation. The only thing that stopped him is prison. I'm not saying Amber's going to go to that extreme, but that's kind of where we're getting. I think one of the things that's going to make Amber stop or slow down is going to be how all of these situations continue impacting her YouTube.
When my mom passed. So I will probably find out through one of you guys, through a search that I do on my own. I'll come across her obituary. Something like that will happen. And that's a hard pill to swallow, you know? And then I have it.
Okay, I hate to say this, um, but and I don't know if Tammy's gonna watch this, but if she does, just a warning, a heads up type of thing. Um, they will actually probably let Tammy know. They will let Tammy know when her mom passes. And it's not going to be out of the kindness of their heart. It's not going to be because they want to. It's going to be because it's another manipulation tactic. Let's she's emotionally vulnerable. Let's bring the family back together. Um, let's it lets them get their claws in again when they feel that you are at your most vulnerable, which is when they feel that they have the most power and they can do the most harm and the most manipulation. Um, so, yes, expect that they probably won't call you, but also make sure always in the back of your mind that you think they could call and this would be why.
Got this from people, but I question myself at times, I'm like, man, if you have a daughter, a niece, a sister, a mother, all have nothing to do with you and you them, I'm the common denominator in that, right? So a lot of times people go like, wow, it has to be her.
Hmm.
Okay. So, this was this was what I really really wanted to talk about. Is she says that she thinks that the common denominator is her. Well, you also have to realize that there's another common denominator in this scenario, which is Amber. Amber has said that, she is and was having contact with Tammie's daughter. Um, Amber is, having contact with the grandma and Mama Lynn. And the other thing that Tammie has to realize, and it's something that is it's a struggle. People tell you, breaking cycles is beautiful. Breaking those toxic cycles of your families, breaking those generational curses, um, is a beautiful thing. Healing is a beautiful thing. It is. It is absolutely beautiful. But a lot of people don't tell you how lonely it is and how hard it is. Because the thing is that when you are involved with toxic family that likes to manipulate and abuse, or you are dealing with narcissists, the second that you start breaking those cycles, the second that you start really healing, they start losing their power. And so suddenly you are no longer an asset to them, you are a danger to them. And you are also a danger to the hold that they have on everybody else that is in that circle. So the only thing that they can do, they can either get you to fall back in line and to bow to what they want so that you are a good little minion who is being manipulated and moved around like a chess piece, or they can attack and they can get you out. But to get you out so that you don't affect all the other relationships that they have that they're pulling the strings on, they they don't only have to attack you, they have to make sure everybody else around them attacks you and that you are removed. And that you're not just removed from them, but you're removed from everybody else because that is how dangerous they see you. Because once people start to see narcissistic abuse, once that light bulb clicks on, you can't unsee it. And they realize that, and they cannot give, you cannot have a chance to, poke holes in how everybody else sees them. And that's really what this comes down to at the end of the day. Um, if you can look at your actions and you can say, I have done all the right things, I have always had the best intentions, you have to look and see what else is the common denominator. And in this situation, it's Amber. Amber is the common denominator. We also now have a history established of manipulation and mistreatment, all the way from grandma down, um, which means they're all kind of moving in the same manner through life. So at the end of the day, I honestly don't think it's Tammie. It has nothing to do with Tammie. I think it has everything to do with Amber. And Amber trying to control something. And I also think that this started happening more and more, and Amber got more intense with this after her and Emily split up. And, when she got back from Wisconsin, because she lost total control of that. She met her match with Emily. And couldn't manipulate, couldn't get her way in that scenario. And because she felt so out of control over here, she had to tighten her grasp over here even more to make sure that she felt like she was in control of something. And in the process of that, Tammie caught the brunt of it. Tammie got the fallout. And it doesn't make it hurt any less. It doesn't change how you feel or think. But sometimes it helps to be able to look at the situation and fully wrap your head around for real what is happening, because sometimes it makes the healing process a little bit easier when you can put logic behind it. Um, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on the Tammie interview, and on how Amber is behaving towards her aunt. Um, I, it really is sad. And one of the things that I don't think people in Amber's situation stop and think about is that eventually you run out of people to use and abuse. And when that happens, you find yourself alone. And what happens when you find yourself alone and you actually need somebody, especially when you are in Amber's case and you're going to end up with a lot of health conditions, probably bedbound, and you are going to have no one around. It it really is, it is horribly sad. But it's of her own, it's of her own doing and her own choice. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop flapping my gums so I can get this posted for you guys. I'm gonna remind you though, until I see you next time, that I need you to be good and behave yourselves. But if you can't, do it right, make me proud, and then post it online so we can talk about it later. Bye guys.